So today I'm going to be trying something a little different. I'm going to be trying a couple of different things. First off, the new perspective. I'm going to try looking at painting horizontally on the flat here, as opposed to on the easel like I've done before. Just to mix things up a bit. Speaking of, the other one is I'm going to try and use this as a new palette. See how well that may or may not work out. Alright, so let's get started. Well, let's start with the skirt. Give it a good base color to start messing with stuff. Alright. Now, what color would that be? Probably you. Maybe you. Alright. Pull up the reference in my end. Alright, so maybe not that color, maybe not that color. Alright. That should be probably a mix of those two. No, I actually have a chance to use the bigger spreader, see if that makes a difference any. Alright, so let's see here. And that would be, yeah, a bit too dark. Well, worth a shot. Huh. So I can do that. Problem being, I can't scrape it off as easily as I could. Oh, figure it out. Go with this brush. Right. Alright, so we're starting with the skirt here. Dress. I think this might be a bit too dark, too saturated, but we can fix it up later. This could be a good base layer to start with. We'll see how it goes from there. Alright, so let's keep going. And yeah, this was a pretty straight shot here. And sorry, it does hug pretty close to the back here. It's already starting to get dry. Paint. You know, one other thing, the other day I was thinking about it, trying out some other coloring mediums, most notably pens, I believe. And see if that might be a more interesting medium to work with. I'm not going to do it anytime soon. But it was a neat concept to try it, so see what else the world has in store for me. Oh yeah, that was the okay, yeah. Should be just like this. Alright, and then the other one will be over here. This is going to be a bit of a tough one to redo, replicate, mostly because of the soft shading. It's not quite acrylic strong point, but it's gonna be an interesting one. Give it a new look-see here, see how well it all comes out. There is the same color here for up top on our hat, so I think I'll give that one a look through as well. You might or may not be able to see, but it's really kind of patchy down here. It's because if I brush it any harder, it starts wiping some of the paint away. So I gotta do a bunch of takes and let it dry, come back. I'm realizing a problem with this current setup. As soon as I put this down over here, it may pick up the purple paint, and if I move it back, plops it somewhere else. Maybe I can make I could just hold it. Alright. Off the side for just a moment. I didn't think I'd be starting out with the hat so soon, so. Alright, let's see. Not a overly complicated little bit here, and not something most people will pay too much attention to. So it doesn't have to be exact, but I still would like to give it my best go on it. There, and about there. And then there's another one up top, which goes up and back down right about to this little corner here. And there we are. That's the purple on the hat. Oh, dang. I guess new one. Give me a sec. Now, one of the other things I was hoping to accomplish with this new setup was you guys being able to see my artwork a lot better, because it's less so about seeing me personally, and more about the art, I think. Wow, purple kind of sits in there. So I was hoping this might help out with some of that, because I know having to pull it off and show you guys every time is a bit troublesome at times. But we'll see, Alright. So, back to the coloring aspect. Let's this should be a lot lighter, a bit more orange in here. But I'm putting down just the base color first. Hello, welcome. Hello. Trying out some new stuff today. Seeing what it might be. I don't know if I'll keep it or not, but figure it might work out a bit better, especially for the lower resolution stuff. This might help it out some, so you can actually see it. New stuff? Of sorts. Don't like that. And we'll figure it out later. Not particularly. It's the new project I started yesterday. Alright. But, nothing overly new. Other than perhaps this sheet of acrylic I've got here. I'm trying this as a new palette instead of the this guy here. I'm trying to experiment and see if I larger mix areas. See if that'll help out, if this will work, stuff like that. All right, so that's that, and that red, white's up there. She does have skin tone we can work with. Oh. Not quite sure where to go with, because there's not too much of a color spectrum on this piece. Most of it ends up being in her skin tone. We do have the gloves. I could. Well, let's start with some of the black stuff because there's a lot of it. All right, so this would be a Mars black type of thing. How would I get that orange color? I'd probably bit off a bit more. I can chew on this one, but we can go with the base color there. But how would we get the highlights? What would we get for the very orange sundown type of feel? Right. Because I'm waiting for the purples to dry, so I can give it a second coat. Could be maybe a brown. That might be it. Maybe a very, very pale brown. That might be it. That might be. Look. And not a white. But let's go with this yellow. This might work out better. Okay. Alright. So this is the main black. Main black there. And let's try and mix the yellow here with some of the brown. See if that comes up with a decent highlight color. I am doing the bowl down here, so with that, let's go with mix the black here because it is a highlight on the black. Alright. So that might work. That might work. Alright, cool. Let's try that. Let's see how well it goes. Alright, so let's start with just the base color. Get that put down some here. I've got. Give me one moment. I've got my reference here, and it's good for the top half, but then the bottom half just my printer crapped out, and the color is very, very, very wrong. So I can't use it as a color reference like I did for the other pieces. Alright. Yeah, so it's I'm trying out some new things. Seeing how well they'll go. Oh, I probably should fill in the bowl there. The actual food up here. Alright. So far, this is actually not too bad of a trial run. It actually looks pretty, it's working out pretty well. I might need to work on my microphone actually. I have had this problem before. Where I'm considered a bit too quiet because I'm facing this-ish direction and my mic is over here. So, but it's, things work out, and, if they need to at all anyway. But yeah, this is, not too bad. And I find this an interesting concept, because seeing the paint, like, on top of the picture without actually screwing it up is actually kind of something different. I've not run into that before, other than like a digital medium. But even then, they just have another window on top, not quite just a clear one. Not bad, but yeah, I tend to overanalyze a lot of things. Sometimes. Other times I put no thought into it all and I just go by the seat of my pants. Both methods seem to work out alright. Alright, so. But, it doesn't matter what quite method I go with as long as I keep going. Because that is one thing I've found, is it doesn't matter how perfect, how good, how incredible you have something planned or any of that stuff. The part that matters most is actually just doing it and getting it out there, getting it done. Accomplishing a task of whatever quality is better than having no quality or nothing at all. Alright, so I'm gonna try and there's a couple of highlights on here, mostly. And one aspect of this is I'll need more space. So right about here is a highlight. Yeah, it actually doesn't look. It's a bit difficult here because I also have the light looking at it really odd for me personally. But let's get going. Now, there's the skin tone, and that's actually one I'm really worried about getting proper. Because in the picture over there, it's very bright on like the forefront of the legs, but then it gets pretty shaded up at the top of the thighs, and so there's a very large contrast there. Not overly sure if I'd be able to get it exact, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Alright, and this is... it's a bit too subtle of a difference. But there is a bit of a rim lighting, or at least the top of the rim here. Let's see if we can get that not too bad. Yeah, I'm still trying good things, doing a lot of new experimentation on this one. Add some brown. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I gotta fix that, give me a sec. Because this is a little bit dark, at least on my screen. So forgot to account for that a bit. And one of the issues I have is I can't quite do a second layer of blending it on the same way. Do the light color and add some brown. Oh, let's try that. Yeah, there's brown on the skin too. I'll try doing that. But yeah, I gotta wait for this stuff to dry before I can put on a true second layer. Mix that back in. And now just a little bit more. And let's see if we can get some brighter color in there. Not too bad. That might work. Let that dry some. All right. So while we're getting those dry, purple seems okay. Let's touch that back up again. Because yeah, one of the things I learned in miniature painting is layers. Just get a lot of different layers. It looks better than one big goopy. Oh, I completely missed. How did I forget that? Apparently, forgot the down here, the bottom of the skirt. I think I was gonna continue on, but got sidetracked. Alright, there you are. There you are. Alright, and so this actually should be a very, very dark, almost black color in the bottom of here, because the shading, because it's underneath the skirt. And there is actually a very small section here of the skirt. Just putting that in there, and then right down here. But with the miniatures, do a lot of thin layers, and one of them is thin your paints. It works for miniature stuff, but it's not quite working out here. Thinning the paints works to make them last a bit longer. I will fully admit that, but like for instance, to thin these paints, it would take me a lot of layers to do it that way. I could take some of the I don't know if you can see this here, but there's alcohol here. You mixed it in and just spread it out. I'm not quite sure how well this stuff mixes well, but it gives a much more thinner. You can see it's a lot more watery than this thicker paste up here. It helps out somewhat, but it's a bit too runny at times. And especially on like a vertical painting, if I was doing this on the easel, it would drip and drain. So that's one of the reasons I didn't do it. But since I'm doing it on a horizontal plane, I guess I could actually give it a shot. Okay. But it thins it out, so it's a lot harder to use. Because with the there it is. I knew that would have happened. I gotta wait for this stuff to dry. So maybe I should just focus on the bottom half here and leave the top half alone for this, because I was starting to rub some of the paint down there. Alright, let's get to it. One of the other things is with the thin paint, with the miniatures, you want to try and keep some of the lower primer still there, like all this white stuff. It's not actually paint, it's primed canvas. And it does make the paint on top of it a bit brighter, a bit more well, a bit brighter is most of it. But I can't truly do that here because of technically my grid lines. If the grid lines out, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem. So I guess I gotta get better than that. Well, I'm making strides. I'm starting to go without the grid, which is a sign of improvement. Alright, so let's go with skin tone and try and get these legs looking alright. Alright, so for skin tone, let's go with, since it is a very fair and pale one, let's go with this guy. Need a fair amount of the color. You, give me a sec. Let's go with white. There you are. Yay! You, and there is the brown aspect, but like I said, I'm gonna try and work with a base color, work my way from there. But oh, I also need just the slightest. Well, I could try the brown, see how well that takes it. Improvement is always good. It is, yeah. And you've got to recognize it when you do it. Or at least do your best to. Okay. So, where's my... There it is. So, I'm trying to recognize when you do well. Alright, so it's going to be mostly this color with white. I'm going to try and mix in some of this brown here. So let's see where that goes. Alright, there we go. Let's start to mixing. Because if it's too white, she'll just look like a, I don't know, some like opera singer, which isn't quite the color we're going for. But if you do it too yellow, she looks not right. But you still need that bit of skin tone to it. Because fair colors are, I'm getting decent at it, but it's still off. Alright, so let's try some of this. You can't be too overpowering with the color. Oh, there we go. That's not bad. That's not bad. Not bad. So let's get a larger group of that. Alright. Alright, let's give that a shot. One of the neat things about this setup is I can technically go with something like this and put the color right against what I have been painting without actually applying the paint. So I can technically do that before I need to, but it's still a iffy new process, so what was that brush? I will most likely need a lot more paint. But luckily I know where I can get it. Now this tends to be one of my personal hang-ups that I do. I work in very small increments. I'm not overly sure how to get around that other than making a lot. Because if I make too much and it's the wrong kind, I'll be wasting paint. But if I make too little, I can't actually paint. Alright. As you can see, I have now run out of real usable paint on that mixed bit. And one of the issues with mixing the paint, as opposed to buying a pre-made skin tone color, for instance, I have to mix it every time I run out of paint, and it doesn't always become uniform because of it. I think I do a pretty decent job most of the time, but also in this base coloring area, it's not quite so important to get it as precise. It's more important to get it close, because especially the outline in the artwork, they have a very slight outline on a lot of these pieces, which is something to work towards. I can do that afterwards. Then an outline will definitely clear up a lot of the rough edges. Like for instance, right here, it's a really rough edge. It's just flat color to flat color, and that's honestly not all that aesthetic. It's a style, but it doesn't work for me. So I'd like to clean that up, but that'll be after it all. I'm not quite sure if you can tell from the camera, but the grid lines are seeping through. You can see it like right here. Here's a good example of the grid line coming through. You can see some of it here, here. I'm looking at like the camera. And so if I were just to keep it lightly colored like this, you would see the lines immediately and it would look wrong, because it is wrong. So I gotta sit there and touch that up and get more layers, more layers. But basically for now, I need to mix more paint. So let's get more of the white, more of the yellow, mix that all back up together, add in some brown, and call it good. I'll just mix this whole lot of paint together. Well, I can actually start painting some of the other body as well to try and use up this paint properly. Alright, so let's go with that. And one of the other problems with like making a paint like this, like the whole blobs together, if I overdo something I have to re-add more paint. It becomes an odd little vicious cycle. Yeah. And a bit around. One of the things I am curious about like this setup is how well this paint will be easy it'll be to remove this paint from the palette without scarring it up. It's a thing I'll figure out afterwards, because my current way of cleaning up paint is scraping it off. It's really easy and effective, but it does potentially have a bit of gouging at the end of it. Alright, so that seems pretty good. Yeah, good enough. You clean it off. One of the aspects with painting, not quite sure you can see it here, but there's yellow paint I've been using, and then the white of the brushes down here. The paint seeps up and then like hardens and dries, which is why I keep cleaning my brushes all the time. But yeah, mix. It's a lot of what painting is. Yeah. In order to get the paint off the brushes, I have to clean it like this and try and get it all out. It's a bit annoying and frustrating, but I guess it works. And this is just kind of going by the seat of my pants, man. Alright, time to go. Alright, so as you can see, it's a much lighter color than the one I put down, so it wasn't quite the right shade. Well, let's work with it actually. Try and feather it out. See how well it can. Well. And see, that's what I mean by having to mix it every time. It's not quite the same. There we go, maybe. Let's try it. Not quite. Because I gotta get that mixture right, and it's not always accurate. Nope, yep, I got this leg, don't forget this one. And it's easier to hide this type of a thing where the coloring isn't quite exact with smaller patches of color. Like for instance, her legs take up a good portion of this aspect down here. Or a good portion of the focus. But for instance, like her hand up here, if I were to make like this color at one point and then I shift up to here, you wouldn't be able to tell as easily as you can right now, because there'd be a lot more colors in the way, obstructing what makes it a little different. But yeah, a lot of this is figuring out how to cover up all these grid lines that I put there in the first place. And the biggest way for the grid lines is just more paint, more layers. Just keep going and keep layering. And that's what we do. Just keep going. And I think this actually worked out for the better, because the original color was a tinge darker, which we can use as a bit of a pseudo shading element. Pigments and colors. And yeah, it's I'm okay. I'm alright with them. But there are some spots where I fall short. I'm trying to pick them out. Let's just give it an actual paint over, keep the line there, and use it for next time, maybe? Alright, I think I can do that. Yeah, the old eyedropper on Photoshop. Yeah, that's... Well, I can't quite use the eyedropper here. I just pick up that paint and splat it down. That's not all that helpful. Or I could try it here, but I won't get nothing. The eyedropper doesn't work in real life. It's all a crock of lies, man. But yeah, that is what I do a lot when I did a bit of digital stuff as well. It's just a lot easier doing it that way. But yeah, but it is fascinating. Just some of the differences between digital and traditional art mediums. Because I originally tried out any color type stuff with Photoshop and the like. I tried my hand at it. Hell, I even have a tablet right over here that you guys never see and I don't use much anymore, to try my hand at digital artwork, but it didn't quite take off. I was okay at it, but one of the other things, I'm not sure how I would go about it going back to it, but there's still the this weird way of doing things. In the digital world, I'd like sit here and like draw a color, undo, draw it again, undo, 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 undo. Oh, there we go. And then try it, undo, 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 undo. Oh, there we go. And then keep going. And it's trying to get it right. And it's with a traditional medium, I straight up can't do that. So I just, oh, that didn't work out. Let's cover over it. There we go. And there we have it. And so it's just an entirely different way of going about the same task. And it's kind of fascinating how different it is to get the same effect. And the other one is like lines. It's the same deal, but like for like this line here, I have to be very careful to trace it right so I don't like get a like sudden jerk and like go like where I shouldn't be. Oh shit. Because then to fix that, instead of going undo, I have to repaint over the line and then get the new color, put that back on there, and hope I get it decently good enough. And it's a different, just like flat out way of looking at things. And this paint goes really fast, man. Still trying to cover up all these grid lines. Maybe grid lines aren't the way to go. They probably aren't. Grand scheme of things. But it's currently I'm using the grids as a crutch to transfer it over and get more accustomed to the process itself. I don't plan on using it entirely in the future. I'd like to honestly create my own works and not a reproduction of something else. But until I have the skills good enough to do it on my own, I need these to bridge the gap. Mix more paint. Maybe. You'd be amazed at how far you can make something last. Yeah, I had a in my job at Radio Shack, we've got cans of compressed air, which is a crock of shit mostly. It's just not really worth it. But since I'm working with phones, it's a very light and very small amount of you know, if this paint was dry, I'd just slide that down, but it doesn't quite look like that. Oh, let's go with this. And anyway, with the canned air, I was able to make one last a really long time by just being very, very conservative with it and using it where I needed to. And I like made it last like a month or so, or a couple months actually. And then just yesterday, I managed to use up what was left of both cans I had salvaged because I was cleaning out a audio system. Blanking on the actual term of it. But yeah, it's with the phone I could just like small little quick blasts to get it to do what I needed. So that's good. Alright. With you? Yeah, we're going to that line. Alright, so like that. But yes, I will need to make that more paint. But you can stretch things. I probably, and I guess it is a good trait to make things last longer than they normally should. That's useful and beneficial. But at the same time, I also want to get myself out of that habit because, not entirely, but more so than I am, because a lot of that here, it's rare. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it costs money. It's like $5 a can, and if you just waste it, it doesn't last very long, and you have to spend another $5 on the can of air, which is annoying. Because I try to not spend a lot, cost a lot of money for my work, because saving some stuff where I can, as well as also recouping. Oh, that's the light. Okay. Recouping losses when I can. For instance, yeah, there's a guy who came in yesterday, who was a prior customer, and man, is he well, this would have to go like that, wouldn't it? And, he came in with a phone a while back. I think I probably talked about him back then too, but he had a phone and he wanted it repaired. And I told him, yeah, it'll be a couple days before I can get the part. I gotta ship it here, and I'll put it on for you. Okay. Then he came back every day after that, asking if his phone was fixed. Dude, I physically don't have the part. I can't fix it for you. Oh, okay. Come back the next day. So, dude, I don't have the phone. I can't fix it. Came back day after day until I actually got the part, and then I put it in. But it didn't work. It something cracked, something broke, and so I had to order another part. And it turned out we had to order a second one because, yeah, it was like 2 or 3 screens we had to put in for this guy. And so that was a flat, out of our own pocket expense to pay for his screen. And that's not the only example of repairs going wrong. Okay. We'll fix that when we get there. But any time a repair goes wrong or sour and I need to replace a part, that's a loss for us. And so I try and get it back through other means. Saving on some materials, being a bit more conservative. Occasionally bumping up the price on some of the other repairs a bit to make up for it. Stuff like that. Nothing obscene or crazy, but like a few, like add an extra $5 to repair that it otherwise wouldn't be to somebody paying for like some ridiculously expensive screen. Stuff like that. And just try and get the money back so that we can keep doing it. And try and shipping takes a while. Yeah, dude, we were telling that guy that. Anyway, that guy came back. He broke the phone again, and he was wondering if I could fix it. Now this is the phone he's got is a Motorola Z Play, I think is the version he's got. I told him, I'll call you when it's fixed. I'll let you know as soon as I'm able to fix it. I'll let you know when you can come pick it up. I told him that multiple times. He still came back asking if anything was going on with his phone. It's like, dude. I was like so tempted to just like, no buddy, here, take your phone and go away. I'm not gonna fix it. I was so tempted to do that. probably should because of the fiasco that left afterwards. But I think part of it was the repair went sour, and I couldn't quite give him a broken phone after I told him I'd fix it. So it's yeah, that's one of the reasons I try and conserve things and make things last. Save a bit of money here and there if I'm able to. But honestly, it's not overly effective doing it that way, to being fully honest. Borderline on trolling. Yeah. But, you know, apparently this guy really needed his phone for whatever reason. Really, really badly. But yeah, it's come back. It's not really all that worth it to try and save a 3-cent project to make money back, because honestly, just use it up and then make $5 somewhere else. It'll save you a lot of time and effort. Alright, that seems to be it. Down there. Oh, there's the charcoal stuff peeking through. That's why it's weird. There you are. There you are. You're alright. The color over here. And you are the wrong color. Shit. Well, maybe no one knows. No, you're actually not too bad. But it's probably a hot day. I think he was married already, so that still could technically apply. It's the world's weird. Oh yeah. Speaking of stuff like that, I actually did run into somebody who I knew was unfaithful. Yeah, I had a friend who it's actually really interesting being able to see the screen here, because there's like bits that react to the light that the camera picks up that I can't see. Like right about here, I'm looking at the camera, I can see a little something there. On the screen, and it looks to be I think that's just the line work peeking through. Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I have had a friend who whose mother was cheating on her father, and then her father died, and her mother hooked up with the no foul play. It was a natural occurrence, a natural death. But she hooked up with the guy she was cheating with. Apparently one day at work, this guy was coming in asking about help with his phone, because we help fix phone stuff. And came in and it's like, I remember the guy because he had gold teeth and he was an old fart. Not like really old, but classified as old. And he came in with help on his phone. It's like, hey, can you help me sort this all out? I was like, yeah, we can do this. Well, let me call my girlfriend real quick. Let her keep her up to date. And he scrolls down, and I see the name on the contact list as being the my friend's mother. So therefore, this guy calling her his girlfriend means this is the cheater dude. And that soured my mood quite a bit after that. because that was very messy family affair with all of that. But yeah, so I actually had experience with a known cheater. But I didn't let any of it on, and my co-worker was actually working mostly with him. I was helping out with a hardware problem or some such. Can't quite fully remember. My friend's mother? But yeah, it's... both of them, it's... I really don't want to get too much into it because it is a lot of personal information type stuff that isn't mine. But yeah, it was not pretty. The guy never came back. He sang our praises. It was like helping him solve the problem, but he never came back. Probably because he didn't have any problems to continue on after that point. Oh, there it is. Alright, so now one of the things to do is I can work with getting lighter shades of color, if possible, like that, and just mixing it up and seeing what it goes, because there's a lot of highlights, especially like right here on the and right here, and that shades around. Seems a bit odd and unnatural, or for the lighting. Seems that shade very quickly, even though realistically it would probably fade a bit slower. Unless the lighting is very, very dim, but it's just odd. I don't know. And see, here's an example. We've been using this color here to lighten it up, but I bring it down here. You can actually see it really well on the camera. It's a very different color. So I've been using this color here to try and brighten up this spot. I use the same color down here, and you can see a very big difference. It's weird. It's very much similar. Give me a sec. Trying to level this out so it doesn't spread everywhere. Got some bit of fuzz here. But handyman working lazy boy, huh? Give me a sec. Trying to fix this up too. Lines up a bit more like that. Work on lazy boy yesterday. Well, parts broke off. Needed welding. Nice. How welding works. What's not to get about welding? It's a very simple concept. It's like metal glue. It would be just the simplest layman's term to use it. What didn't they get about it? Oh, speaking of like odd little stories like that, I had a ant currently in with all this fuzz, an ex-ant currently. And this should actually be a lot wider. Welding is what people make buildings with, and things are rolled together. They're usually there for good, just about. Yeah, it's mostly a permanent thing, depending on how good of a job they do. Break easy like glue. It can. There's like mass-produced welds on like a restaurant stool or something. Like you go to McDonald's and it's just like cheap aluminum. That stuff can happen, but not likely. thought it would break easy like glue. Not quite. No, not really. That's not how welding is supposed to work. Spot welding, yeah. Did you actually? Speaking of welding, they actually do welding in phones on occasion, and it's really frustrating when they do that. Alright, well, cool. I've tried my hand at welding, actually specifically for this table here that I'm using. Not currently anymore, but I took off some table legs from a spare beat up old table. It was like broken in half, falling apart. But the legs were made of metal and still good. He painted. Well, that's more than I would probably have done. So yeah, that's probably did a good job, I'd imagine. And yeah, it's really weird. It's like, from my perspective, I can't quite tell much of a difference between the colors here. It seems to flow a bit better, but looking up in the screen, this sticks out, and right about here sticks out a bit. And odd. Brush strokes up here. There we are. Yeah, in a phone, in at least iPhones that I've worked with, some people ask, hey, can you replace the back lens for the camera? Yeah, sure, I could do that. It's just like $3 part or something, right? Oh yeah, open it up. And they sell a piece that you can replace. It's a little metal frame that you can should be able to just plop in and call it good, right? Well, not quite. The piece that they're selling you is generally welded to the frame. So in order to take that out, you have to unweld it, which I'm not going to do. This is a good chair. What? What? They didn't grasp the concept of a good quality. Yeah. How do you not get the difference in quality? If you're unfamiliar with the brand, sure, I understand that, but understanding that different things have different quality. Well, actually, I could believe it, because I get people who come in with the worst pieces of shit ever and expect it to run functionally like everything else. That's not how it works, guys. That's not how it works at all. Oh, this is one of the other reasons I don't like watering down my paints, because it seeps into the other paint down below and softens that up as well. So sometimes when I'm trying to overlay a color, it dissolves it, which is troublesome. I wouldn't doubt it. One of the things that applies to the world that I learned in electronics. In electronics, follow the path of least resistance, because that's what electricity will do. Electricity is that's not actually used. Current and voltage and whatnot. The current will follow the path of least resistance. If you have a big old complicated route over here, but then like one line that goes all the way over here with nothing in it, it'll go down that way first and then back through the complicated bit. It will follow the path of least resistance. You apply that also to water. If you have like a big old path of water, if it is easiest to go down this weird convoluted path than it is to just hop up and over, that's the path it's going to take. You can then apply that to people. If it's easier to just go on autopilot 75% of the time, then they'll do that because it's easier. Why would you do something hard or difficult? And you can see it on people. They just, and even me myself, often take just the easy way out because it's easy, it's quick, and you don't have to think about it. Just do the easy way. But I think that's right. So let's try. See, this is what happens when you like leave the paint on the brush. You can see it. Maybe it doesn't work right. It bends, and then I can't focus on it. But these bristles work, but these don't because the paint here is all dry and sticking the clumping together. Use my brain though. I try. One of the other ways to think about it is lizard brain. Humans have a primitive lizard brain. Go eat food. Go hide. Run from predator. Things like that. And it just works on basic primitive instinct. Why should I worry about the quality of a thing? I need to smash object. Grab any object, smash object. And the primitive lizard brain works on very simple, very easy to understand tasks and concepts. So, and I see it a bit. In people where they just go with the simple option. And, well, how to explain it? People have different views and ways of going about things, and people are built differently. Through different experiences, they develop. They develop differently, and so they develop ways that work for them. One like a perfect example is spoiled kids, or the Karens of the world. If they go, like the Karen is a perfect example. They grew up through life. If I cry, someone will come and fix my problem. Therefore, I just keep crying. My problems will all get fixed. And so they develop that habit of do this, get outcome. Do this, get outcome again. And so they just keep doing that. And so it works. It's acceptable when you're a kid because you don't know any better. But once you start taking that level from the kid to an adult stage, that's when that imbalance starts coming in. As a kid, dumb kid, just whatever. That's not how it works. You'll grow out of it, and then they don't grow out of it because it still worked for them, and they keep trying to apply. If I cry, problem will go away. If I cry, problem will go away. If I cry, problem will go away, and that's how you end up with 40, 50-year-old Karens who sit there and complain, and people just get fed up and, yeah, whatever, go away. Hey, look, my problem went away. And so they get that mindset. It applies with the simple autopilot bit. Well, I just go on autopilot, my problems get done, sorted out. Hey, there we go. I go on autopilot, hey, look, sorted, my problems go away. And they get habits and develop traits like that. And you can see it. It's not just Karens, but other people as well. And you asked me to do like yeah, it's some of that I see is yeah, I could definitely see that. It's give me a sec. It's a bit odd. Where's my paint? Where'd the paint go? Oh, there it is. It's yeah, it happens at an early age, and then it's not trained out, and then they hit real life, and it still works, so they just keep going with it. But one of the issues with like the Karen aspect is they never Now, I kind of talked about this yesterday, for me personally, but in a different manner. But they never learn another way around it, and the way they've been doing it has always worked. Therefore, it should always work. And so when they come across a problem that doesn't work right, they just double down on it. It's not to make it political, but that's currently what's happening with the rioters. I'll just leave it at that. They have that same mindset. Because you learn a thing and it keeps applying, and then if that's how it's always done, you push the button, out pops the candy bar. You push the button, out pops the candy bar. You push the button, out pops the candy bar. It always happens. But when you push the button, the candy bar doesn't come out. What do? You push the button again. Then the candy bar comes out on the third press. Ron famous word. Oh yeah. It's an, and so when it stops coming out and the button isn't working anymore, some people keep trying to push that button, keep trying to push that button, keep trying to push that button until it eventually will pop out. And see, hey, look, I was right. It did work. Just it didn't. It took longer than it should have. And I see that mindset, because the other option is accepting that your current plan of action doesn't work, and then trying to find a new one and trying a different route. Cause yeah, I see it a lot with some people with very rigid beliefs. Not any particular belief in. I'm talking about certain examples of it, but I'm not going to say which ones they are, just to be nice. But when their belief is questioned, and political belief is to make it easier, when their political belief is questioned and they don't have an answer for it, they can't accept it. And I've seen it in people's eyes, where it's just straight up flat out denial, that they can't accept their beliefs being wrong, even when it's shoved in their face, proven time again that this is not correct, you're wrong. They are unable to accept the fact that their belief isn't working and isn't what they thought it was, and so their response is to double down on the double down. Inside and outside the box, yeah. And it's currently going on in America. There's a lot of people who are doubling down on their belief, even as it's crumbling out from under them. Because what happens is, if that belief system falls through, then everything they've based their entire life on is wrong. And they're unwilling to accept that thought. That can't happen. I could not have possibly been wrong for my entire life. That's absurd. But when you prove it right, they have to either accept it or deny it. There's probably some third option, but it's basically boils down to those two. And so they just keep going and keep going and keep going with the same thing that's always worked for them, not trying to do anything different. And I've seen it. I've seen it in their eyes, and that actually is like a weird trait I've picked up. I ain't perfect, not by any means of this, but I have seen it where you can just tell by a person's eyes. Not always, but you can tell sometimes what they're kind of like, because I can't quite explain it, but there's this like panicked, subconsciously desperate look in their eyes. I can't quite put it any other way, but they've got like consistently wide eyes, even when they're just like talking to you normally. It's just the eyes are slightly wider, slightly overbearing. There's just an intense focus on them, even when things aren't all that intense. And you can just tell. It's not to make anything bad or do any like stereotypical type stuff, but you can just see it. And like, or like, I'm just gonna go on this one because it's what I found. You can find like stupid people, and they've got this like dull look in their eyes. It's kind of glazed over, like they're not really paying any attention at all to anything. But and then you can like see intelligent people who are like focused and they are paying attention. They can see it, and it's in their eyes. You look in their eyes and you can get a gut feeling for what they're going to be like. Now that's not always the case, because there are people who just like have that kind of face, but they are paying attention, or just like a resting bitch face is one example. That's not who they are, but that's just what their face looks like when it's not doing anything. But there's like, I've learned over the past few years actually that your gut feeling is actually really important. It can tell you all sorts of things that normally you wouldn't be able to tell. And I've been trying to pay more attention to that lately and trust my gut in a lot of things. Now, it ain't infallible, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good baseline to work from. And sometimes you just like see a person and your gut is immediately screaming, this isn't, something is off. Something is off about this person. Something is weird. And you can just tell. Kind of like a smarmy used car salesman. You can walk up and just immediately get this feeling that they're trying to scam you, trying to trick you into something else. This is gonna be a weird paint job. Well, I could try dry. Well, if I had any paint left. Not quite right. A bit more white. But yeah, you can feel it. And on the flip side, you can also feel when it's less effective because it's not such an extreme, but you can tell when somebody's genuine, at least to a lesser extent for me. I can generally tell when somebody is off, but I can't quite tell as well when somebody is on. One way to put it, I guess. But yeah, you just get a sense of, like, have you ever looked at like some of like politicians and just like the photos they portray, and you're like, that guy looks weird, that guy looks odd, he looks okay, but something's off. And and yeah, no, it's well, take it from me, I don't have faith in people as a whole. That, for me personally, is broken. I don't have faith in people in general. But I can have faith in a person, a singular person. Like, for instance, you've stuck around with me for years now, actually, I think. And you just sit here and chat with me about things. I have faith in you, but I don't have faith in some random troll. They are not on the same scale. They are not on the same page at all. And so, if you treat it like that, it's stop caring about the world and start caring about your world. And so, it sounds a bit selfish, but it works out. I think it's too yellow. I need brown. That's what it is. like. There we are. A little bit paler. You're in some change, yeah? Something like that. It's actually really hard for me to keep track of these. The years have been flying by for me personally. But yeah, it's I really do appreciate you just sticking around, man. You've honestly been one of the few that do stick around. We had strangely for the longest time, Seebeck pops out every so often. You, and then currently Beatrice is my current regulars. You and Beatrice are pretty much my whole audience at the moment. Speaking of audience, I'm gonna try especially the month of October. Not quite sure how well it'll take off, but I'm gonna try and start opening up my social media account again, Instagram, and then like posting some of these paintings online and see how it goes. And try and bring up my online presence again. Not quite sure how well it'll go, but I'm gonna try and promote it again. I have something a bit more consistent this time. And over here. So maybe that'll help a bit more. 'Cause yeah, that was always my big problem with social media. I didn't know who the hell I was and what I was doing. Yeah, at one point I had sewing, sculpting, and I think visual novel reading all in 1 week. So it was like 3 of everything all the time, and it was a jumbled mess. But now I've narrowed it down to voice acting, reading, and artwork. That's the 2 things I'm going to focus on. Keep it simple. Maybe a little bit more easier to read. Down here, get up here. Now this isn't really looking the best at the moment, but it's still kind of the flat color aspect. Really, actually, with the because I'm looking at it like more straight down, and the light makes it look decent. But looking in the camera, it's very, very odd. I think I'm going to go over it with a dry brush with like a darker color. And try. Nope. And just tone it down a little. Not quite, not quite. I can figure this out. Probably dry brush. But yeah, it's like in the picture, it's very, very yellow and pale. I need a bit more color, but brown isn't quite what I need. It's this very subtle, like you can tell in the camera. You've got this color here, and then this color here. It's very one and the other. There's not quite as much soft blending. That's more of an oil-based thing. Acrylic can do some of that, but not as well. The other aspect is I'm using white, yellow, and brown to get this color, but I need something a bit paler, but not white. It's a really pale flesh tone, but I don't really have anything like that. Maybe I can. I'm gonna try that. Yeah, here, maybe this would be actually a good point to show how much of a difference this tiny amount of paint is. Okay, So it looks like an absolute mess right now, because it kind of is. But right here, I've got workable paint. And right here, I've got a bit of red. I'm going to take this much red, this tiny, tiny amount, put it in here, and show you how much of a difference this one drop will make. Just like that, the whole thing has become a bit red. It's harder to tell, especially with the camera, but when I put it on, you'll probably be able to see. It's now a much more pink color. Just that one drop of paint has changed it significantly. It's a rosy kind of color now, which might work, but I still need to, I'll get rid of the yellow. Yellow isn't quite the color I need. I need a white. Maybe I could dry brush white on there. Maybe that might be the technique. Yeah, it's a. Give me a sec, cleaning up some of the stuff. But yeah, as you can see, this is a traditional medium. If I were on like digital, I would, that's not right, get rid of the layer, try it again. Can't do that here, so I gotta fix down the line. But a bit, it's hard on the, to show on the camera, subtle things. But yeah, this just the tiniest bit, and now it's no longer a bright yellow, it's, yeah, it was the, this was the same color as what I was using here. And so now it's a lot softer. It's not quite yellow. But that was just the tiniest tip of paint I could use. And it's made that much of a difference. It's weird. I'm going to try something. Probably something really stupid, but I can experiment. That was a bit too much. Maybe just really light white would do it. Or at least thin layer of white. Getting something. Not quite sure what, but seems to be working okay. Let's try. This is kind of blending the colors a bit. Looking somewhat like suntone, but it's really hard to get the blend right. Especially with acrylic. Well, one of the tricks for acrylic, especially for miniature painting, is using an airbrush. And they actually have a brush and a compressor, but the cord got cut during, I think, a move period. So it's not quite ready. I could look actually into doing it, getting a new one. Where would I get one? It's a smaller port. Alright, so working out. Get you color in the yellow that got there. actually being okay. And one of the neat things that still kind of blows my mind occasionally is how much a difference a color in another area can make. There we go, that's looking much better. There we are. Okay, that's looking pretty dang good. Maybe not look like it on the camera. Apparently I have the exposure up a little bit too high. But that's so you can actually see it, not drown out in the pressing light I've got here. That is another thing I need to fix, but I can't quite do that here. You can see the shadows on there. That's because I've got two lights in this room. One directly above me, and the second one over there. Those are the only two lights I have in this room. And the one above me is really high above me, and there's not much room I can use to mess with it. But I'd like to mess with the lighting. The other aspects is it could be a better color, white or something. But yeah, it'll take a bit of messing around with to get it all right at some point. And here. Color discs, those fiber optic trees. Yeah, my grandparents had one of those. They're pretty neat, and I liked it. Just simple little fiber optic tree that just kind of spins around. Ours was like mostly green and red. But those things have color discs. I think ours might have been. Well, the color disc would make sense. Oop. I think I found out a technique that works making highlights work a bit better. This is pretty good. So how are they? Are they like a colored acrylic disc? They painted watercolors or something? How would you do it? Because it needs to be see-through, right? For the light to pass through it and color through the fiber bits, right? This one didn't work quite as well. Might have to be blending on the page. But it did work down here, right? Sorry, thinking about myself a bit. Oh yeah, and talking about disc and game stuff. I saw your controller on Discord. Pretty cool looking. And it was the I think you said it was the thumbstick that you were modifying a bit. Clear discs printed on or something. Paint on top. I might suggest like a watercolor, because with like an acrylic paint, it'll just like blot it out. Just like, for instance, here you can see the shadows underneath. Would be my suggestion. Like maybe get like a stained glass kit. Just literally just watercolor. The D-pad. All right. I knew it was one of those. Couldn't remember specifically one of them. But yeah. It looks pretty good, man. I know it was the kind of a chrome looking deal. Give me one sec. Alright, it was the D-pad. It was the D-pad. Color's getting weird. Yeah, I've never quite been one for much customization of physical objects. I've never quite personally been that because I don't need. I'll take, if it looks stupid but it works, I'll still use it. In moderation. If you have something completely impractical to hold but still functions, it's gonna be different. But yeah, it's good job, man. Oh right, there is also the edge lighting. I forgot about that. Okay, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Would actually be you. Sorts. I'll put it on there. Well, specifically, why? What inherently was so complicated with it? The design, creating of it. Yeah, you told me you're replacing it. What? I don't think you ever told me specifically how. I think you told me like you were replacing it. Yeah, yeah. What part of it was yeah, what part of it was the hard part for it? I can't think and do things at the same time. Alright, so go with this color. Fill it in, back in just a little. Not quite so crazy. It transforms. Wait, really? What? Wait. Really? How? Wait a sec. The D-pad how does that work? You've now completely baffled me, man. Cutting from the nuts in the plastic. Like, D-pads don't like, you've completely, like, the D-pad here, I know it's a different controller, but the D-pad is a, one piece. It's, you twist it. You're still not making sense, man. How did you... What? You've, like, completely lost me. You, like, twist the whole thing and, like, shift it that way? And make it different? Or... Okay, you're gonna have to show me more pictures of that, man. Okay, I need to see more of that now. Just... Because that's something completely out there. How did... Okay, yeah, you're gonna need to, because I just... My brain isn't processing those words. How did you pull that off? Yeah, you'll need to send me a video of that, man. Because, yeah, you've completely lost me with how any of that makes sense. I don't doubt you, but I just can't process that. Simple, you bought the part on eBay. Alright, still. I don't... I'm gonna have to wait for the video. I'm gonna have to think of something else, man. Makes more logical sense. But yeah, it's speaking of customization, there was a dude who comes to Radio Shack every so often with some oddball projects for me. Mostly for his Game Boy Advance SP. He's had me replace the battery in a couple of Game Boy cartridges. Notably, I think it was Pokemon Emerald? Oh, I think it was Pokemon Ruby was what it was. I think it was a red cartridge. And Wario Land 4. He had me replace the battery because it died out, and he wanted to keep playing the games. And so he came in and was like, okay, I bought this battery. I need you to put this battery in this cartridge because apparently it takes soldering or something. I need you to do that. Okay, pop it off. There you go. You apparently can't really solder a battery. They don't work like that. Well, not entirely. The batteries he had pre-made it's one of those disc batteries. They're like a circle and really flat. And the ones he bought had a little carriage that they sit in and have, like, here's the battery. They have a metal band that comes off and it's positive, and the metal band on the bottom that comes off as a negative. I can solder those to the board, but I can't solder anything to the battery. I've tried that stuff. It doesn't work. You just sit there and you're like heating up a battery to like 300, 600 degrees and hoping it doesn't explode, but it doesn't want to just stick there. Soldering coin batteries is not really a thing. And I just tried a little right, and then I tend to screw the whole thing up. Yeah. So let's try actually you. Right. Seems to be up and over for this part here. But yeah, then he came back another time and wanted me to replace the battery on his actual Game Boy unit. He apparently went and got some customization parts, put them all together, but he needed help with the battery. He wasn't quite comfortable doing that himself. And that is now yellow. Should not be yellow. Get you back up. Yeah, it's not mixing. It's not mixing. And the tiniest bit of red that's potentially still usable. That's too much. And now it's red. Alright, let's try that. Ah, shit. Guess it's getting time to start putting things away. Yeah, one of the signals that it's time for me to sign off is when my paint starts getting dry. It's like there's nothing there. It's all dry here, here. This is all dry, dry, dry. Some of it's still wet, like this stuff. Like this blob here that I put down at the start of the painting session to make this bowl here. And the purple here, it still has a bit of a color to it. That's still there, but all this is dry. All of it. It's really kind of frustrating at times. Oh, right. Can't sit and talk with it at the same time. Oh, that's not the right color. Well, let's try mixing a bit of brown to stabilize it a bit. Paint is weird. I'm still figuring out how to do it. One of the things is when you mix paint, you can't unmix paint. And so, like if I put this brown in here, I can't take the brown out. The only thing I can do is wash it out with other colors. Or at least try to anyway. There we go. That works, that works. If it didn't want to streak like that. And this is what I have to do to fix a mistake. So, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, for me to fix a mistake, I got to go through all this trouble and try and get it right back to where it was. But in the digital world, it's like, I'll just undo that. Or just delete this, copy it, save it for later, something like that. So in that aspect, I work really hard to try not to make mistakes. But if they are, it's not an overly big deal. Unless it's like a really horrible one. But, yeah. So yeah, it's... Oh, touch this up. It shouldn't be white, just brighter. Oh, and I took all my white. I guess that's that. Because I don't really want to put on a whole new blob of paint for something I'm not going to use. Right, let's go. There. And try and fill in these oddball purple streaks. I guess I could try going with the just Control Z. Yeah, Control Z. Doesn't quite work, man. There's an artist I used to follow. Back in the day, he made a webcomic. And one of his earliest pieces was of him sitting down on a traditional artist table and going Control Z. Damn it! And that was like the whole the strip. Actually, yeah, let's go with that route. Anyway, he ended up making a shirt out of that concept you could buy at some point. I never got it because I was a dumb kid at the time and wasn't overly interested in buying a shirt like that. Let's shift you around. There we go. I now have a much more closer reference to the color. Alright. But yeah, it's just Control Z in real life. Yeah, it's just that easy, man. Alright, let's see. Alright, there, and a little bit here. You. Give me a sec. Focusing really hard on the line work here. This is the stuff that's really hard to undo. The dark line work here. Alright. Let's go. It's there, and it goes all the way around. Alright. Okay. But yeah, it's undoing things. And one of the neat things I think is pretty cool about doing it all traditionally. Instead of like going with digital and like knowing, oh, I can make a mistake, just undo, 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 undo. Because I've seen a lot of digital artists do that. They'll make stroke, undo, and just undo, 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 and just keep going until they get the right one. But with traditional art, I can't do that. So I have to actually make it work the first time, or to the best of my abilities anyway. And one of the other results is living with the outcome. Because that's something I have struggled with for a while. Well, what if I make a mistake? What if I screw it up? Well, then you screwed it up, and you just keep going. So I think starting the painting and traditional art was actually a really good thing for me. You can see, like right here, I have a little oversized outline there. Like paint it out just a little. Picked up. And learning to correct mistakes as they happen. Not freaking out by hand is hard. Yes and no. Needs a bit of fine control, but it's not horrible. Oh, her hips are darker shaded than her legs. I was going, I'll need to fix that next time. Yeah, that'll be next time. I just kind of realized probably an obvious thing, but apparently. Yeah, her hips right about here and here on the artwork that way are much more shaded, much darker than what I have here. So I'm gonna have to work on that when I get there. All right. I'm looking at it because I'm doing the outline of it right now. Alright, just really focusing here, trying to get this just right. Shit. Okay. It needs a bit of touch up, but there we go. just putting on the primer. Yeah, it's the base layer, and then it is really fascinating, that aspect. Give me 2 seconds. How in traditional art, and I guess digital art as well, everything is made in layers, and the previous layer affects it. Generally, in a lot of digital art, the layers tend to be just, this is the arm, this is the leg, this is the clothing, and they each have their own. Oh, come on. Their own predetermined groupings, but in traditional art, more so, it's that layer determines what the upper layer is. I'm not bashing anything, I'm just trying to point out neat things I found. Alright. So yeah, in like digital art, when I did it, when I was like really stupid and young, I actually tried doing art in a single layer, which doesn't work. And I don't like the digital layering system. It's very effective. I will never deny that. It works exactly as it needs to, but I find it a hassle shifting between them. Like, this is the head layer, this is the chest layer, this is the clothing layer, this is the leg layer, and then like drawing on that, I have to stop, select that, go to there, stop, select that, go to here. But in real traditional painting, I can just dab, paint, dab, paint. There we go. Well, the other ones is brushes. In digital art, you have a single stylus, generally a stylus. You can use a mouse, but that's a lot harder. Give me a sec. Noticing an oddity. There we are. And a little bit more over here too. I think that's... Oh, there's also the top line here. But yeah, it's... I dislike... The system works, and I will never deny that, but it feels cumbersome for me to use. I prefer the way traditional functions. And there's just a different quality to it. I get a lot of people who oh, this is because same color, that's doughy. Because yeah, with the digital stuff, I have to manage layers, I have to manage the brushes, and like for instance, in traditional, I have 2 brushes at the same time. I can paint there, and then like paint like that, and just like quickly shift over, and have an exact thing. I don't have to sit there with one universal brush that'll change however, whatnot. Oh, I got that as well. There are some downsides, but I prefer these downsides as opposed to the digital ones. But there's a... You know what? Paint gets a skin if you leave it dry long enough. But I'm still learning some of the techniques and how to do a lot of it, but I'm finding it feels more natural for me. Because with Photoshop, it was managing the brushes, and when they can do everything, it's hard to do anything. so I always struggled with the brushes, trying to get the brush to work right, the same size, the right opacity, the right density, and just all these, every single possible variable. And I kind of slapped some stuff together to get things to work right. And it functioned. It did what it needed to, but it was cumbersome for me personally. It was difficult for me to get it to flow. I guess that's one way to put it. The flow was off for me. It didn't quite sit right with them. Well, I'll do that one next time. And so the traditional flow works a bit better. I can toss in this color, mix it up, add a bit more, and it's a lot more responsive for me. The other one was like digital. You have like every color in the rainbow, but you have to sit there and mess with the sliders, find red, find blue, more saturation, less saturation. But with like paint here, it just add yellow, add white, mix together, add a bit more of this, and build it. Yeah, in a paint like this, I can build the color. In digital, I had to find the color, which was odd for me. But anyway, it is 6. It is past the time, and so I'll see you guys again next time. I'm gonna plan on Sunday. Gonna potentially keep going with this. Maybe not. I don't know quite yet. I'll figure it out. I'm not trying to like do something artwork on for October. It's a thing, but not a thing and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, this is what I've got so far. The sorcerer's eating something, and I still need to actually fix that fork. Yeah, I've got the food fixed in the proper position, but the fork is off, so maybe I can just bend it. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see, we'll see. And there's a example of the paint skipping on it. Anywho, that's it for me. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Alright, so where are we?